Hello, welcome, and thanks for joining us. This is TJF Talks, and I'm Chris.
I am Cheetah, and on our podcast, we invite notables to talk jazz, the life, the music, the vibes, and everything in between. It's improvisation with conversation. We'll call it improversations.
Nice. Well, today we were visited by Hiram Perez. He's the founder and leader of Tucson's premier salsa group, Zona Libre. He plays all the saxophones. He's worked on Carnival cruises. He's worked for the circus. And he's honestly one of the hardest working guys I know. And he just exudes joy on the bandstand. It's such a lovely time to talk with this guy.
And he had great stories, as of course, that's what we really go for here.
Yeah.
Great stories not only about Paquito, yes, that Paquito, but also about the circus and how it involves Paquito. You don't want to miss this one. And then we also have his take on the importance of live music locally and why you should support it, as well as the venues that host. And also how important it is to have a good bond with your players and band and their families and your family all at the same time. So all those things, very important to Mr. Hiram Perez.
Yeah. So it's a great conversation. And now on with the show. So glad to have you here. And thank you for joining us on the TJF Talks.
Yes, thank you for having me, guys.
So we sort of start the conversation in a way that jazz musicians particularly are very familiar with doing, and that's an improv. But we call it improversations because it's a conversation where, sure, we might talk about jazz, but we also might talk about anything else under the sun. So there's a little bit of a mystery to our improvisation.
Okay.
So are you ready for us?
I'm ready.
All right. Well, let's do this. So what instrument did you learn how to play first?
I started on the violin in kindergarten, and I grew up in Nogales, Arizona, Nogales, Mexico. And I started in kinder, and I played violin through the 5th grade. But in Nogales, you were able to play the band instruments in 4th grade. I think it was 5th grade here in Tucson.
Yeah.
But they had where the local band a band store brought in a bunch of instruments when you're old enough to see, if you wanted to gravitate away from the from violin, and they just had all the instruments spread out, and I went directly to the saxophone, which I play now.
Yeah.
And I also played a little bit of bassoon too, but yes, I did.
Yeah.
But that's where I started, and the saxophone is where I ended up.
Yeah. So did you learn by ear when you first started playing?
No, I learned how to read music
right from the beginning.
Right from the beginning, which was pretty incredible.
Was
awesome.
that because of the violin?
Yeah. It wasn't. I didn't have a Suzuki method or anything like that. It was just I had really good teachers as a kid.
Yeah.
And they inspired me as a kid to continue to develop my music and pursue music as I got a little bit older.
Shout out to teachers out there.
Absolutely.
They make a huge difference.
100%.
Well, and that was such a great experience for you. I don't think every community has that. So that was such a neat thing. They said, look at all this stuff.
Yes,
and you guys got to go crazy.
Yeah. So what about the saxophone spoke to you? Because that's the instrument that you play.
Well, like I said, I liked how it looked. Okay. And then
it is sexy.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I had no idea what it looked like. I'm like, I want to play that.
Uh-huh.
And slowly but surely, my music professor, my music teacher, excuse me, he showed me, how to do the basics. There was no YouTube back then, so there's no type of tutorials. I grew up in the early 80s in Nogales, and just to get a sound out of it was a little difficult for me at first. But then once I got the hang of it, I just started really immersing myself into the instrument, and I continued to develop my sound.
What do you think the difficulty was in getting the sound out of it? Was it just the concept and how to actually blow the air, or?
For me, it was two things. It was the reed. Had to be the right strength and your embouchure, and once I got those two down, everything else kind of fell into place. I like to think that the saxophone is not an extremely difficult instrument to play. That's why I really enjoyed it, and everything kind of falls into place on that instrument.
Do you have a goosebump moment, like when you were younger? What I mean by that is like that moment where you played a note or you played a song and you felt it. right? You felt the thing.
Yeah, obviously any of the nursery rhymes, obviously that's what you learn as a kid.
Yeah.
And I remember when I played my first song, I was like, whoa, that was like, man, I can play this, and
Yeah.
and I really liked how the instrument resonated through my body into the instrument. I felt it on my fingers, and I'm like, wow, that's a really cool feeling. And knowing that I'm able to make a sound out of an actual instrument was pretty awesome.
When I was young, I played a song about a fire truck on the piano, which is the first instrument I learned. And it was that fire truck song. I
Yeah,
was like, oh yeah, that did it for me.
awesome.
It was that was that like, oh, this, I'm connecting to this thing in some weird way. So Latin jazz music, that's what you play. But when you hear someone say, hey, I love Latin music, that's like someone saying, hey, I love rock and roll, because there's so many different types, right? There's not just one type of rock and roll. I mean,
Right.
there's so many different types of Latin music. So I thought I would ask you, like, different types of Latin music depending on what you're doing, and tell me what you like. So, like, for instance, for different occasions
Mhm.
to dance to.
To dance to, I really love, salsa music, obviously. That's what
Mhm.
I do Latin jazz from the same musicians that I work with Zona Libre, but right now I'm primarily playing salsa music,
Mhm.
and I really love that music. I love the complexity of it.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you need to that all the musicians need to be playing their instruments correctly
Mhm.
for it to gel and to sound authentic. And I'm very fortunate to be able to play with the musicians that I do here in town. They're just amazing. They make me better, and I hope I inspire them to be better. As far as to answer your questions, salsa music is just really what I really enjoy,
Okay.
and cumbias too.
Yeah.
Cumbias because obviously Mexican. I'm Mexican American, and that's the style of music that I grew up listening to.
And that's what gets you up and dancing.
I'd say
Yes,
both
yeah,
styles
Yeah,
are like
yeah.
they
both
bring the
styles.
party.
Yeah.
So what if we take again, in that overall arching Latin music,
Mhm.
if you just want to sit and listen and chill to, what style do you go to?
Latin jazz.
Latin jazz.
Yes, I really
You
I love Latin
like
jazz.
just straight ahead Latin jazz.
Yeah, Latin jazz. One of my my main inspiration and heroes is Paquito Rivera, who you guys had here last year, and I because of my schedule, I could not
Oh,
check out any of the
no.
So
shows.
sorry.
My wife went to one of the shows, and she's like, "You missed out."
Oh, she's rubbing it in
Yeah, like,
everything.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me know
thank you.
that.
All
I
my
didn't
friends
do
were sending me videos, like, "Where are you, man?" I was like, "Gotta work."
that.
And
Oh,
I actually met Paquito in New York City
Yeah. Mhm.
when I was touring with the Ringling Brothers Circus, and he was very, very generous. I reached out to him. I went and checked him out at the Blue Note,
Mhm.
and he was just hanging out at the bar after the show, and I'm like, man, I was so nervous because I wrote a paper about him, about his life, while I was studying at the U of A, music at the U of A, and I starstruck,
Yeah.
and he was at the Blue Note just hanging out. I went up to him, and I didn't even know what to say. I'm like, "Hey, I'm here with the circus." He's all, "Really? Con el circo?" I started, mi papá tocaba con el circo. My dad used to play with the
Yeah,
circus.
yeah.
So he engaged me in the
Oh my
conversation, and
gosh.
that just put me at ease. And I invited him to the show. We were at the Madison Square Garden,
Yeah.
and he brought some incredible musicians with him. He invited me to dinner afterwards at across the street at TJF Fridays, I believe,
Yeah.
and we created a really nice friendship. And I reached out to him when he was in town. We just couldn't connect. Just
oh, what
really
a
unfortunate.
bummer.
That
That would have
that
been awesome.
that story just gives me goosebumps, right? Just
I
like
gotta,
y-
I gotta go back to the beginning where
Yeah.
you said the circus. I'm
Yes.
thinking, I'm telling my parents that I'm running off to go run with the circus, and I'm going to New York to do it. And
Yeah.
then,
oh no, he traveled all over the
Yeah, he
yeah, but
traveled all
then,
over the
I mean, the
world
whole
with it.
circus
Yeah.
thing, I was like, what? You ran away with the circus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a pretty awesome experience in my life.
And how did that come about?
So there's musicians here in town before I joined the show that were in the circus already, and one of them, his name's Gabe Romero. He reached out to me. He's like, "Hey man, you wanna come out to the circus?" I'm like, I thought it was a prank.
Oh, you're right.
You
Exactly.
know,
You don't
like,
hear that every day.
no.
Yeah.
And like, I was dumbfounded. I didn't know what to say to him. I'm like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, how much does it pay? No, just kidding. He's like, he was very, he gave me all the details. And at the time I was playing in a Tejano band, Tex-Mex band called Latino Solido. And we were doing really well at the time. Actually, we had transitioned to salsa at that time. And I was a band leader for that band too, Latino Solido. And it was really difficult for me to leave my friends behind.
Mm-hmm.
I was 29 years old, I believe. And it's an opportunity. I talked it over with I was single, and I talked it over with my dad, and my dad basically said, he's like, if you don't do this, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And so he was the X factor that
Yeah.
made me go. And he was right. And because while I was touring with the circus, I met my beautiful wife, Mirella. She was a dancer. She's from Brazil. And the rest is history.
Yes, for
I
sure.
toured for almost 4 years. And we came back to Tucson, and I started a group called Grupo Manteca, which was strictly salsa music. But that kind of fizzled out. The band was really big. It was approximately 13 or 14 of us, and I just couldn't sustain that many musicians. So I scaled down. I was doing a lot of solo work, duos, trios, and quartets, and eventually it led to meeting all the musicians, and that's when I formed Zona Libre, and here we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
That's so cool. So would you say the greatest thing that came out of your time with the circus is or was what?
My wife and my son.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
No, without a doubt.
That's
It's
great.
the best thing that's ever happened to me.
And you can tell people that we met at the circus.
It's always a good icebreaker.
Yes,
know?
for
Right, for
sure.
sure.
Like my grandparents met at the fair, the county fair,
Mhm.
right?
Really?
This is like my parents met at the circus.
Yeah.
If I had met like somebody important at the county fair, the conversation would involve me barfing after
Oh.
going on one of the rides. I can't handle the rides.
So,
Yeah, I'm horrible for that. So I mean, so don't take me on a ride that goes in circles because I will throw up. So before you were in the circus, you were on cruise ships for a while.
I did a cruise ship for a little bit, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah. So because you worked on a cruise ship, would you ever vacation on a cruise ship?
I actually vacationed before on a cruise ship,
Yeah.
and I met musicians there.
Yeah.
And I had mixed reactions for some of them. Some of them absolutely loved it, and some of them were like,
Mhm.
and so I had the opportunity to do it since I made connections there, and they gave me the contact info. And I reached out. I sent out a demo, and they're like, "Sure, come on." And I was based out of San Juan, Puerto Rico,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't for me. And
You get seasick?
yeah, no, not seasick.
Yeah, I would probably get seasick too,
Yes.
to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
for real.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
sick on the.
Yeah, some of my best musician friends that I know that we have just like this cool kinship are guys that two in particular that did like two years of tours together on the ship and
Mhm.
and they built a really cool bond because they basically relied on each other while on the ship. But even today the musical language that they speak
Mhm.
together is unlike any two people I know, and then we just all gel really well together.
Sure. Like a lot of the, like I said, it's either I never found a gray area with musicians on cruise ships. It's either you really like it,
Mhm.
or it's not that you hate it, but it's just not quite for you.
Right.
And I still have friends that do cruise ships, and they enjoy it.
Yeah.
They like it.
Yeah.
But I know that the pay also that was a big. I was disappointed how bad the pay was.
Yeah, it was.
But you're talking this is 2000.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they're paying better than they were back then. You know?
I do know what the pay is now, and it is better than it was then, but still not as good as it should.
No,
It's
that
not
should
enough. It's not what it should be.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
if the pay is not great, then what would be the incentive to do it? Other than I want to work.
I mean, when you're young,
Yes,
the experience that you get,
Absolutely,
like,
yes.
because
Okay.
every single week you're playing different charts from a different performer,
Yep.
and so you have to read, you have to learn
Okay.
lots of different
Yeah.
styles of music.
Sure.
So,
So it's a big learning
oh
experience.
yeah,
And I know the pay scale changes. I know some musicians actually do make really good money.
yes, that's true.
You know, some it just varies. But
Yeah.
then the show band musicians, I know on the lower tier.
Yeah.
But again, that
Yeah.
was a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. And things do change, but I would say the experience overall is better for folks, and it's not for everybody.
Mhm.
So speaking of experiences, when you're on the bandstand, you're playing music for folks. What is that? What is the greatest feeling that you have?
Well, playing music for me should be about the audience and the
Mhm.
crowd, right? And I I absolutely love just seeing so many people smile and just dancing and having a good time. Basically, maybe if you're having a bad day, having a bad week, you can come dance and kind of forget about all that,
Mhm.
and have a good time. And that goes for the musicians on stage too. If you're just not having a good week, but you get up on stage and like, this is why I do it. This is why I'm so passionate about what I do, and creating good music with great musicians and sharing the stage with amazing musicians and just making great music.
Yeah. How do you connect with the audience? I can hear your brotherhood about your musicians. I'm going to ask about that too. But like that true connection with the artist or with the audience, how does that manifest itself inside you?
As a band leader, I do my best to always go and say hi to everybody during my breaks, before the show, during the breaks, after the show. And I've developed and made a lot of great friends and made a lot of made new relationships with a lot of people. And it's very important for me to go out and say hi to as many people as I can, because obviously without them, without our followers and the fans,
Mhm.
there's what are we doing?
Right.
And that's very important to me. And I encourage and I advocate a lot to, hey guys, go around and say hi to everybody, because they're here for us, man.
Right.
They're here to check us out. They're paying this cover charge every week to hear us play. So please, make yourself available for them if they come and say hi, or spend a couple of minutes with them, chat it up, see what's going on. And I think that's extremely important for me.
It's always interesting when you're like, "I've seen that face at every show
Hmm.
for 5 years."
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Yes.
And you're right, they're paying the cover charge every week
Every
of
week.
coming
Right.
in and having a good time,
Hmm.
forgetting life
Yeah.
and just enjoying.
Yeah, and not only for us, but also for the venues that we play. It's very
Yeah.
important that they're contributing to
Mhm.
Tucson and just the
You create and have created such a special vibe and a special piece of nugget of music in our community.
thank you.
And I appreciate it. And obviously, everybody who shows up every week appreciates it. Your musicians appreciate it. And holding a long, sustainable gig like that with a pretty consistent group of musicians, it's hard.
It is very
It's
hard.
super hard. How do you do it? How do you pull that off?
Um, Obviously, I try to uh, first and foremost be respectful towards them all the time. Try to create a bond with them, friendship outside of the stage, and I also pay them competitive, which is very important, because I would
Mhm.
say 85, if not 90% of the musicians I work with play music full time like I do.
Hmm.
Uh, and sometimes at times, excuse me, they'll work with me with the budget, because they know that I generate work for the band, and that I do my best to go out and get the best paying gigs I possibly can, because I'm not a greedy individual either, but I do believe in fair pay,
Hmm.
especially in the times that we're living in today. I think that's extremely, extremely important, to take care of your musicians and just be transparent about everything that how I run the band. And I again create a friendship with them, and be outside of the stage. Like I said, just be friends, reach out to them. Hey, how you doing? Is everything okay? And if there's anything that's going on in their personal lives that they want to open up to me about, I'm like, hey, I'm always here too for whatever you need.
Well, I think you can see that, feel it, hear it
Yeah.
in the music,
Oh,
so
it's in the music and your
yeah.
integrity and how you carry yourself and how you treat everybody around you
Thank you. Dan.
is really respectful. And so that leads to this question. You're so freaking nice. What gives?
uh,
Maybe that's a rhetorical question. You don't
It probably should be. It's an awkward one.
Yeah, it's an awkward question. Yeah.
always treat people like you want to be treated, right?
Yes.
So I
Right.
think that's basically it.
And you do that. And we've had the fortune at Tucson Jazz Festival to have your group play at our big outdoor festival for the last several years, and the Downtown Jazz Fiesta, which we hold every year on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And man, I always love observing this one thing, and maybe you could speak to that. You'll see all types of people sitting out there, and
Yes.
some people that look and feel very old and like they can't move, and then you guys start playing,
All of a
and
sudden,
and then like someone who they walked into that space and they were 75 years old and barely moving. You guys get done with your set and they look like they're 20 years old, and they've been
yes.
up and they've been dancing the whole time. It's like the transformative thing that happens when music is playing. Did you feel that? Do you notice that? Do you
I
see that?
I do, Chris, and I think when I see that, it's inspirational. You're like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, you see some people that are like, these people aren't going to get up and dance, and then they do it, and you're just blown away by their energy, their enthusiasm, and but to backtrack, thank you so much for having us there at MLK. That's always a blast for us.
It's really a good thing for us on our end when we see people and they ask about you, particularly in reference to Downtown Jazz Fiesta.
Yeah.
I know I field interviews a lot,
Yeah.
and or not interviews, but emails a lot where people are like, "Is Zona Libre going to be there?"
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, "Heck yeah!"
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us.
welcome.
It's one of my favorite
Yeah.
gigs of the year.
Yeah.
And this year we're doing something even cooler and different, and
Yes,
and
yes.
uh
Can't wait.
and by the time this podcast comes out, we'll have announced it. So like
Yes.
we'll have an album release party and a
Mhm.
Latin jazz jam.
Ziplets for
You
now.
know that
Yes.
that will be happening out on Hotel Congress Plaza. We're gonna have a good time this coming
We
year.
are.
Leo.
I'm so
I'm
excited.
looking forward to it. So every podcast we ask a friend that
Mhm.
you would know a question that they would want to ask. So I reached out to singer superstar Crystal Stark,
Okay.
and she loves every time she gets to perform with you. And
Yes, and we love having her. She's
yeah, she's a talented person, absolutely loving, kind
Mhm.
soul, just like yourself, and man, a bundle of energy. So she asked this question, and I thought it was wonderful. Your family and your mom, in particular, are at almost every gig.
Yes.
Did she instill a love of music in you at an early age?
Music got instilled to me by my uh, my dad's little sister, my aunt Maria.
Yeah.
She started playing. We had a little organ at the house because I grew up both in Nogales, Mexico, and Arizona, so I'd go back and forth. And she had a little organ, and she taught me how to play, and she would always play, and I'm like, man, that's music. And not only that, music too. Growing up in a huge Mexican family, music was around me the whole time.
Yeah.
But I would say she was one of the main influences. And then she played clarinet too, and she would take me to some of the pep rallies at Nogales High School. And so she was one of the main, if not the main influence for me to play music as a kid. My parents would influence me just by having music around the house 24/7, all the time. Family parties.
Has always been
Yes.
played.
It's always being
Mm.
played.
Yeah.
But
They
I-
didn't play instruments themselves?
No, nobody in my family other than my aunt.
Wow.
My dad's little sister.
If you're
She's the
hanging
one.
with the family and your aunt, what kind of music would you be playing?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Like if you were like at a family function, right? You're at like a dinner or like a family reunion, and your aunt's there. What music would be
We
playing?
would play like pop Mexican music, cumbias, norteño music, groups like Juan Gabriel, Rocío Dúrcal, Los Tigres del Norte, Bronco. One of my big influences is a Mexican saxophone player who recently passed away. His name is Fito Olivares. He was also one of my main influences as a kid. And the first cumbia I ever learned on the saxophone was a song called La Gallina, or translates to the chicken. And the song kind of sounds like a chicken, you know? And we play it till this day with Zona Libre once in a while, not all the
Yeah.
time. Yes.
I love that. That sounds cool. That sounds like a family function I want to hang out at.
Oh, man.
You know?
Because, well, my dad had 4 brothers and 5 sisters.
Oh my gosh.
So even though I was an only child, I never felt like an only child because I had so many cousins. I mean, surrounded
I
just
can
by
imagine.
it was crazy. And as a child, I was born in Nogales, Arizona, but my parents were still living in Mexico, but they did that for me to be American citizen, which is the greatest thing they did for me. But I spent my childhood as in Nogales, Sonora,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until kindergarten where I started coming to school in the United States, going back and forth. But back in the early 80s, you have to remember that crossing the border would take about 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not like now.
Yeah.
So I would just, go, come back. And then sometimes I'd spend the weekends with my grandparents who did have a house in Nogales, Arizona. And then eventually I moved up to Tucson. The whole family came up to Tucson. And because my family had a Mexican restaurant on 6th Avenue. And I went to Carrillo. I started
Oh,
at
really?
Carrillo Elementary.
Oh, that's super cool. I mean, that's a legendary school in Tucson, and the history of that school is amazing.
Which restaurant?
It was called Alfonso's Carnitas Jalisco on 6th Avenue. The building's no longer there. It's next to the Salvation Army.
Okay.
But it was a staple since '73. It started where catty corner to the crossroads is at. So, and then they moved over to 6th Avenue, and my whole family went there.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people, if
all
you
my
mention
family
it,
birthdays.
they'll know that restaurant because they
Yeah.
probably went there.
Yeah,
And
I'm
all my
sure.
musician buddies growing up, they used to love it there because they used to eat for free.
Of course.
Because of their friend.
I love it.
And they probably called your parents mom and dad as well.
Yes, they were.
So
That was awesome.
I love this. So there's one last question that we always like to ask, or
Okay.
I like to ask everybody who comes through, and it's this: why does live music matter to you, and specifically the genre that you play most?
That's a good question. Live music really it fills my soul with joy. Being able to perform. It's not always doesn't always have to be about the money,
Hmm.
but obviously I have to sustain myself, but the main joy is just seeing people dancing, and going back to what we were talking about earlier is just watching the happiness that not just my group, but any band, when I go and support bands, to seeing the interaction between the musicians and the dancers, that brings a lot of joy to my heart. And again, being able to go to a venue, see live music, and forget about everything. You're just there to have a good time. And most importantly, support your local musicians. You know what I mean? There's so many incredibly, incredibly gifted musicians in this town.
I agree.
I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a hidden gem in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And I'm fortunate enough to surround myself around a good portion of those guys.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that directly answered your question, Chris, or not.
No, you can add. I mean,
yeah.
it's your question to answer,
Yeah.
and I love how you are vested in our community. We support local musicians, and shout out to Tucson musicians. Honestly,
Absolutely,
you've
100%.
traveled all over the country. I have too, and I've played with people everywhere, and much like you have. And man, we are an abundant source. I never underestimate anybody when I'm walking into a space as to
Mhm.
like the level of musicianship we have here in this community. It blows me away.
I mean, I've been here 30 years, and that's the same for me. Pretty much within the first 5 years of being here, I started working with local musicians, and that's what brought me here. And I feel the same about them, just from a bystander, promoter, kind of working with standpoint. It really is an interesting group. It's very diverse, dedicated, so talented,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and just they're passionate. And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
Sure is,
So
absolutely.
It's been an absolute pleasure
has,
to
absolutely.
talk with you today.
you,
Thank you
guys.
so much for joining
Can I
us.
say one more thing, Chris?
Of
Of
course.
course.
Please go out and support live music. And while you're there, please support the bartenders and the servers that are
Mhm.
working there. Take care of them. Take care of the musicians. That's the only way that we're going to continue to move forward and grow this great thing that's called live music here in Tucson.
Yeah.
It's valid.
Well,
And if you want to find out more about your band,
You guys can check us out at Brother John's every Friday night starting at 9:30, and we play just up the street here every first Sunday of the month at the playground starting at 6, from 6 to 9. And that's an all ages show. Brother John's is 21 and over. And we're looking forward to playing at the festival. And we got some surprises. Like I said, we got to keep it kind of zipped up right now. But I'm hoping to debut some new original material.
Oh, very nice. And we can follow you on Facebook.
Yes, Facebook and Instagram. Please,
Instagram.
under Zona Libre Band.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
in.
guys for having me. It's been an
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure, Chris. Thank you.